I'm sure you're dreaming to watch a French movie without any subtitles, but it may be a little bit difficult at your current level. And that's exactly why today I'm gonna help you. Bonjour tout le monde, I'm Cassie, your French tutor, so you can discover France the French way. And now is the perfect time to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you want to be able to enjoy French culture to the fullest. So today I brought my laptop with me and we will watch a few scenes from classical French movies. And I'll explain everything they're saying, everything there is to understand. And as always, there is a free PDF in the description, this time with my favorite French movie that I recommend you to watch. Alors t'es prêt? On y va!
Un petit vin chaud avec des spéculoos.
Merci. Un vin chaud or like glue wine. I don't know if you know what it is. If you're German, you know what it is, right? So it is typical in winter, especially on Christmas market. You always have like that warm, spicy wine, really like it, with speculoos. So speculoos, not sure we can translate that. Very popular in the northern part of France, mostly like really the north of France. Really like them.
Je crois que j'ai été un peu dur l'autre jour avec la fille au verre d'eau.
Je crois que j'ai été un peu dur l'autre jour avec la fille au verre d'eau. Donc être dur avec quelqu'un, it's not to be rude, but it's not to be very nice to someone. Okay, and then retrospectively you realize that maybe you shouldn't have behaved that way. Like it was too harsh, too much.
Alors, racontez-moi, ce garçon qu'elle a croisé l'autre jour, elle l'a revu?
Alors, racontez-moi, ce garçon qu'elle a croisé l'autre jour, elle l'a revu? Donc, croiser quelqu'un, it is to meet someone or you see them, but you don't interact with them. Like, literally, you cross paths with someone. That's how it works. You cross paths with someone. Tu le croises. Cross, croiser. Hey, not so different. Huh? So when that man says le garçon, it doesn't mean the boy. He's surely a young man, not a boy. Or I hope not in that context. Et elle l'a revu. Notice that he's speaking really informally to Amélie and he's asking a question, but without, you know, reversing the subject and the verb or without using question words, and that's just a spoken way, informal way to ask a question. But the intonation is going up at the end. Elle l'a revu? That is a question. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there is a video right here.
Non. En fait, ils s'intéressent pas aux mêmes choses.
Au fait, actually. Au fait, ils s'intéressent pas aux mêmes choses. So they don't have the same interests. And notice that she didn't say il ne s'intéresse pas. No, she dropped the ne. It is really spoken French. Il s'intéresse pas aux mêmes choses. And she actually doesn't say il, but I. Il s'intéresse pas. That's another thing we said in a previous video. We tend to drop the il and make it sound like a I instead. Just spoken French, really.
Vous savez, la chance, c'est comme le Tour de France. On l'attend longtemps, puis ça passe vite.
Vous savez, la chance, c'est comme le Tour de France. On l'attend longtemps et ça passe vite. This one is a very cultural one. So you know what le Tour de France is? If you don't know, it is like a bike race once a year in France. So you have cyclists, des cyclistes, bike athletes. How do you say? You tell me. So you have the cyclists and they race like literally around France. And at the end, they win like the yellow jacket, something like that. I'm not a big fan of that, you may have noticed. But when the Tour de France is actually going through a city or a village, mostly villages, people in that place, they come and see the racers, right? But they can wait a long time before we see them. So that's what he's talking about.
Alors quand le moment vient, il faut sauter la barrière, sans hésiter.
Alors quand le moment vient, il faut sauter la barrière, sans hésiter. Sans hésiter, without any hesitation. Et sauter la barrière, well, when you're waiting for the Tour de France, you're behind a barrier. So, yeah, you have to jump above it if you want to see the athletes. You shouldn't do that though. I don't know. But it's really cute and it's in Paris, so they have more or less the same accent as me. Actually, more. Really more than less. But yeah, it's a cute movie. I think everybody knows it. So I recommend you watch. Don't be ashamed if you need subtitles. It's cute.
Oh non! Et pourquoi vous avez posé le carrelage?
Oh non! Et pourquoi vous avez posé le carrelage? Donc le carrelage, these are the tiles that are on the floor. And apparently, the worker shouldn't have done that. Let's figure out why.
Il fallait faire passer les évacuations d'eau d'abord.
Il fallait faire passer les évacuations d'eau d'abord. So first, he should have put the pipes, to evacuate the water. Les évacuations, evacuate, d'eau, eau being the water. So he should have done that, but he put the tiles first. Weird.
Il va falloir tout recasser maintenant.
Il va falloir tout recasser maintenant. So they will need to break everything. Recasser, you notice, so, well, technically, that's a weird one. Let me explain. Casser is to break. But here he doesn't say break, but recasser. So re-break. Break again. Which is weird because it hasn't been broken the first time, so I don't know. But what he's saying is pretty much they would have to do it over.
Ah, monsieur Malcoxis, je suis pas architecte, moi je suis carreleur. Vous dites carreler, je carrelle. Vous dites pas carreler, je carrelle pas.
Monsieur Malocoxis, so the name of that dude also means like his back or his coccyx hurts. I mean, in Asterix et Obélix, they always have like funny names that mean something. Donc, Monsieur Malocoxis, je suis pas architecte, je suis carreleur. Donc, je suis pas architecte, like I'm not the one drawing the plans, okay? Je suis carreleur, so I'm the one taking care of the tiles.
Et c'est quoi cette porte au plafond?
Et c'est quoi cette porte au plafond? What's that door? So he says at the ceiling. Not really. Not really, that's second floor.
Ça, je sais pas. Ah, faut voir avec numéro 10, l'architecte.
Les architectes. Avec les réparateurs de chars, il va plus escroc et incompétent.
Malocoxis!
Numéro bis.
Malocoxis! Numéro bis. So as I said, they always have funny names, and here his name is Numéro bis. So number 2. And that's kind of the funny thing in the movie, because there is like that royal architect, he knows everything, etc. But Cleopatra, she wants like fresh thinking, she wants creative thinking for her palace, and she will call, well, the number 2, Numéro bis. He's surely not number 2, like he's way below.
Comment ça me fait plaisir de vous voir!
Ça me fait plaisir de vous voir. So notice how he contracts the vowels. Ça me fait plaisir de vous voir. It's a pleasure to see you. I'm so happy to see you.
Comment ça va?
Mal.
Quel est le problème?
Comment ça va? I'm pretty sure you know that one, right? Donc, how are you doing? Bah, il est où le problème? That bah. So. Bah, il est où le problème? Where's the problem? Is a way to ask, like, is there a problem? Or what's going on?
La porte au plafond, là.
Ça? Non mais j'anticipe!
J'anticipe.
Si vous voulez faire un deuxième étage, paf, vous pouvez parce qu'il y a déjà une porte pour y accéder.
Vous voulez faire un deuxième étage. Paf! Il y a déjà une porte pour y accéder. So we still have that. Ya, it should be il y a, but again, we drop the il. Donc vous voulez faire un deuxième étage. Here, he should have said si vous voulez faire un deuxième étage. But clearly with context, we realize that it is a hypothesis, like he's, well, anticipating. Vous pouvez. If you want to do that, if you want a second story, yeah, you can.
Et ce carrelage là, il est pas magnifique?
Escarlage, il est pas magnifique. Again, scarlage, instead of ce carrelage.
Feu d'artifice, je dois voir ici.
Feu d'artifice, fireworks, again. Funny name.
Il est magnifique ce carrelage ou il est pas magnifique?
Il est magnifique.
Magnifique.
Il est magnifique ou il est pas magnifique? Magnifique. So beautiful or not? Yeah, beautiful. Asterix Obélix Mission Cléopâtre clearly is my favorite movie of all times. Clearly my favorite French movie. It was released in 2001, if I remember well, so I was a kid, really. And I don't know, I still watch it from time to time. It is like, I reference it all the time, but when I say I, no. Everybody of my generation in France reference it constantly. Seriously. No matter where they're from, no matter what their background is, like, really, you have no idea the impact of that movie. However, it is a bit difficult for French learner because there are a lot of references and like pop culture references, but also jokes that are typically French humor with a lot of sarcasm or a bit absurd, and I'm afraid that you won't understand everything. However, if you do understand it, it's like you've reached the final level of French learning, really. Like you don't need anyone else to give you any advice or help ever again, if you understand that. Read.
Monsieur Pignon,
Oui?
si je vous dis précisément ce qu'il faut lui dire, vous pensez que vous pouvez le faire?
Si je vous dis précisément ce qu'il faut lui dire, again, ce qu'il faut lui dire, ce qu'il faut lui dire, vous pensez que vous pouvez le faire? Que vous pouvez le faire? We drop the vowels. Donc, si je vous dis précisément ce qu'il faut lui dire, ce qu'il faut, soit needs to be said. Okay? Donc, il faut is like you need to say or you have to say. Vous pensez que vous pouvez le faire? You think you can do it? Vous pensez que vous pouvez le faire?
Il y a des moments, j'ai vraiment l'impression que vous me prenez pour un imbécile, hein.
Il y a des moments, j'ai vraiment l'impression que vous me prenez pour un imbécile. There are times, sometimes, but he says, il y a des moments. So there are times, j'ai vraiment l'impression que vous me prenez pour un imbécile. Donc avoir l'impression de, literally what that would be, I have the impression that, so basically it looks like something, or it seems that something. Donc que vous me prenez pour un imbécile. Donc prendre quelqu'un pour, it's like what you think of that person. So if, I don't remember the name of that character, but Thierry Lhermitte, that actor, he thinks or believes that Monsieur Pignon is an idiot. That's pretty much what Monsieur Pignon is saying.
Mais bien sûr que je peux le faire.
Mais bien sûr que je peux le faire. Of course I can do it. Bien sûr que. So of course I can do something. Et bien sûr que j'ai faim. Of course I'm hungry. Always examples with food.
Qu'est-ce que je dois dire?
On pourrait se servir du bouquin qu'ils ont écrit ensemble.
Oui?
Qu'est-ce que je dois dire? What should I say? What do I need to say? What do I have to say? It's more like that.
Alors ça, c'est très tordu, mais bougrement intelligent. C'est quoi son numéro?
C'est quoi son numéro? Again, an informal way to ask a question. C'est quoi son numéro? Instead of qu'est-ce que c'est son numéro? Or quel est son numéro? Eventually. C'est quoi son numéro?
Il s'appelle juste Leblanc.
Il s'appelle juste Leblanc. Here's gonna come the joke.
Ah bon, il n'a pas de prénom?
Ah bon? Il a pas de prénom. Because if you say juste quelque chose, it means it's just whatever. Donc, c'est juste moi, only me, just me, only me. Donc, juste Leblanc is like, it's only or it's just Leblanc. Like, he only has a family name. And, well, Thierry Lhermitte thinks that Monsieur Pignon is an idiot for a reason.
Je viens de vous le dire, juste Leblanc.
Je viens de vous le dire. So if you use je viens de, it means I just did something. Just, again. Je viens de vous le dire. You can also say je viens juste de vous le dire, but with the joke with juste, that would be a bit too confusing, I think.
Leblanc, c'est son nom, et c'est juste son prénom.
Leblanc, c'est son nom, so it's his family name, Leblanc, et c'est juste son prénom. So, either you understand and juste is his first name, or you understand is just his name. Which is very confusing for an idiot.
Monsieur Pignon, votre prénom à vous, c'est François, c'est juste?
Oui.
Monsieur Pignon, votre prénom c'est François, c'est juste. And here we continue with the joke, because if you say c'est juste, it means is it correct? Is it true? So it's another way to use juste, which is even more confusing for Monsieur Pignon.
Eh ben lui, c'est pareil, c'est juste.
Et ben lui c'est pareil, c'est juste. So he's again using juste, but as something else. And if it is confusing for you, it is also confusing for him, and French is his mother tongue. Donc Le Dîner de Cons is a movie, I don't know if people remember it, but when I was a kid it was like super famous. And the concept, I don't think that movie invented it, but it's like, donc Thierry Lhermitte invites Monsieur Pignon to a dinner with his friends, and they all have a guest who is dumb as hell. And it's like a contest of who brought the dumbest guest with them. So it is extremely mean, but crazy things happened, and that's the whole movie. To be fair, I don't remember it very, very well. But the confusion with juste, I thought it was interesting to show you.
Bon, je me suis appliqué. Faut ouvrir les yeux.
Bon, je me suis appliqué, faut ouvrir les yeux. Again, I repeat it, but yeah. Je me, instead of je me suis, contraction. Et faut ouvrir les yeux, instead of il faut. We drop the il. Oh merci, and anyway, the character of Driss is from, well, the region around Paris. We have pretty much the same accent. Donc s'appliquer à quelque chose is to be very careful when you do something. You pay a lot of attention. Extra care, really. Here he's joking. Clearly.
Oh l'horreur.
Quelle horreur. That's terrible. Oh my god. I can't.
C'est atroce.
C'est atroce. Well, this one is not that far from English. It's atrocious.
Mais là, ça vous va bien. Oh non. Non, non, non. Mais là, regardez, gilet en cuir, là, sans manches.
Mais non, regardez. Gilet en cuir sans manches. So, leather jacket, but sleeveless.
Bracelet à clous. Petite casquette de flic village people, un peu.
Like, yeah, he really has the look in mind. Not sure that rich Parisian man agrees with that, but it's funny.
Ah non, j'ai trouvé José Bové.
Et non, j'ai trouvé José Bové. He looks like a French politician or former politician. We don't really see him anymore. But yeah, with the beard and the mustache like that, yeah, a bit. José Bové. That's his face.
Vous avez la même tête.
Vous avez la même tête. You have the same face.
Allez.
Allez. When you say allez, it's like, come on. Or, allez, let's go. Can be both. But here, come on.
Il est malade.
Il est malade. He's crazy. Technically, it is like he's sick, but I think for you guys that would be more like he's mad. Or, yeah, crazy.
Je m'attends au pire.
Je m'attends au pire. This one, not that easy with my students. S'attendre à quelque chose is to expect. So it's not the same as attendre. S'attendre, to expect. Donc, je m'attends au pire, I expect. What is pire? The worst.
Non, vous allez voir, c'est bien, regardez. On dirait mon grand-père.
On dirait mon grand-père. Donc, on dirait means it looks like. On dirait. I'd say it is, look, it looks like my grandpa. Or his grandpa, not mine. This one was from the movie Intouchables. I think it was quite famous, so maybe you've heard of it. Really nice movie, and I do recommend it for beginners. Not without subtitles, but the way they speak, it's not too hard. The vocabulary is quite neutral, not too much slang. Maybe Driss a little bit, but other characters is fine. And yeah, it is cute. It's really cute and emotional. Like, it had such a success in France. Crazy.
Après le renvoi de Mathieu, ma mère me reprit avec elle.
Après le renvoi de Mathieu. ma mère me reprit avec elle. So the young boy, he is the one talking, but he's remembering his childhood. And donc après le renvoi de Mathieu, donc renvoyer is to fire someone. So le renvoi is the act of firing someone. Mathieu is the person who was fired. Ma mère me reprit avec elle. Repris is passé simple of reprendre. So she took me back with her. But passé simple is something you won't hear at all, actually, nowadays in France. It is a tense that you will see in like classical literature, maybe, or with authors that, you know, want to look classical or like intellectual, but is really a tense that is kind of dying. So I don't really teach it nowadays to my students. I just teach them how to recognize it. And I really don't recommend to do any extra work on that. Passé simple, mais.
Nous sommes partis à Lyon, où je fus reçu au conservatoire.
Nous sommes partis à Lyon, où je fus reçu au conservatoire. So, they went to Lyon, the city, beautiful, où je fus reçu. Et fus is the verb être, but in passé simple. And I know that fut, you probably did not recognize it at all because it is so weird. And that's why it is actually not used anymore, because it's weird. Now we would say j'ai été reçu. Yeah, so I was accepted. I was received, but here it means I was accepted.
Clément Mathieu a continué à donner des cours de musique jusqu'à la fin de sa vie.
Clément Mathieu a continué à donner des cours de musique jusqu'à la fin de sa vie. So it's funny because here we actually switch to passé composé, which is the normal way to express these kind of actions, or normal, let's say, current way. Donc, Clément Mathieu, the name of that person, he kept teaching music.
Sans chercher à se faire connaître.
Sans chercher à se faire connaître, donc à se faire connaître. Now, I'm pretty sure you're used to it, contraction. Alors, se faire is something typically French. It means something like to make himself be something. Donc, se faire connaître, to make himself be famous. Okay? That is weird. I know, I understand, but bear with me. Se faire connaître. So, it is something he's doing on himself. That's why you use se. But you can use it on other people. For example, I don't know. J'ai fait partir les pigeons. First example I had in mind. J'ai fait partir les pigeons. I made them do something. So it wasn't on purpose. It was not their doing. It's really mine. And here, well, he does that on himself. Voilà. Se faire connaître. To make yourself famous. Donc, find a way to be famous.
Tout ce qu'il faisait, il le gardait pour lui.
Tout ce qu'il faisait, il le gardait pour lui. Donc, garder pour lui, he kept it for himself. Garder is to keep, so pretty much like English. Je garde ce secret pour moi. I keep that secret for myself. That's how it works.
Pour lui, non, pas seulement.
Attendez-moi 2 secondes.
Attendez-moi 2 secondes. So, wait a sec. We tend to say 2 seconds instead of 1. Monsieur Mathieu, il est trop mignon.
Qu'est-ce que tu fais, toi?
Qu'est-ce que tu fais, toi? Here, I really highlighted for the contraction. Qu'est-ce que tu fais, toi? Qu'est-ce que tu fais, toi? Yeah, I know. But if you don't understand how contraction works, I actually explained it here.
Vous pouvez m'emmener avec vous?
Monsieur. Je peux pas faire ça. Faut que tu retournes à l'internat, tu vas te faire punir.
Tu vas te faire punir. Again, he will be punished, but not on purpose, not on his doing. Well, technically yes, because you're not punished for not your action, though can happen. I really don't remember that movie that well, but it had such a success, and I think, like, even in the US, right, you tell me in the comment if I'm right, even Beyoncé covered a song from that movie, like, you know, vas-y sur ton chemin, this one. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it was famous in other countries than France. And like all the little girls like me, because we're quite young, we had such a crush on the main character.
Le problème avec l'arabe, c'est que c'était pas facilement lisible.
Okay, before I explain anything from that scene, I need to provide a bit of context. So, OSS 117, such a famous movie, and you may have recognized Jean Dujardin. So this movie is actually mocking, like, you know, spies, movies, things like that, and mostly James Bond. So it is a mockery, a parody of James Bond. So he is racist, he is sexist, he is like the worst imaginable. And the characters around him really show how narrow-minded he is. So here, what he says is extremely offensive, as always. It's really the concept of the movie. So what he says is not the message the movie wants to convey. Except in the third movie, which is directed by another man, and he really did not get it. Just don't watch it.
Le problème avec l'arabe, c'est que c'était pas facilement lisible.
Le problème avec l'arabe, c'est que ce n'est pas facilement lisible. That's why I had to do a disclaimer. Donc le problème avec, the problem with, same as in English. Le problème avec l'arabe, so Arabic, l'arabe, c'est que we tend to do that a lot when we speak. Not when we write French, but when we speak. So something, it is blah blah blah. So we highlight what we're talking about and then the sentence is coming. The grammatically correct sentence. Donc le problème avec l'arabe, that's what we highlight, c'est que, so it is that, c'est que ce n'est pas facilement lisible. It cannot be read easily. Anyway.
Même au niveau du son, hein, on sent vraiment.
Même au niveau du son. So even with the sound of the language, which is funny because he was talking about like how to read, now how it sounds, like anyway, terrible.
Oui, non, mais enfin, c'est joli quand même.
Non, mais enfin, c'est joli. But anyway, it is pretty. Donc, non, mais enfin, you will hear that a lot in France. Non, mais enfin. So when you say something and you kind of realize that it didn't land very well with the person you're talking with, and you're like, yeah, but anyway. Donc, non, mais enfin. And you try to find a way out of the mess you just made.
L'arabe est parlé par des millions de personnes et son écriture est un art.
Hein?
L'arabe est parlé par des millions de personnes et son écriture est un art. That one is not that hard. Donc l'arabe, again, the Arabic language, est parlé par des millions de personnes, spoken by. So here it is a passive form. Instead of saying des millions de personnes parlent arabe, we say l'arabe because it is the main topic. It's what we want to highlight in the sentence. So we use the passive form. L'arabe est parlé par des millions de personnes. Son écriture est un art. Writing it is an art.
Des millions?
Des millions. Insensitive jerk. That's what I'm saying.
Des millions, vous êtes charmante. Mais...
Vous êtes charmante. Like, oh, you're charming. That's really sexist. Let's be honest. Like, the way he says it is condescending as hell. But that's really what I was saying about his character. And that's what makes him so iconic.
Vous voyez ce que ça fait déjà 1 million, Larmina?
Vous voyez ce que ça fait déjà 1 million, Larmina? Like, you don't even know what 1 million is, so... Again, please don't be shocked. It is the concept of the movie. So I hope these scenes are now a bit easier to understand and that you've learned a lot of things. If so, you can give this video a thumbs up, and of course I put my personal recommendations in the PDF below in the description. But now I want to know what is your favorite French movie. I will read all the comments. And if you want to know my top recommendations for series for beginners, I recommend you watch this video next. Donc à la semaine prochaine. Salut!